Hey there, welcome back. So today I want to talk about denial. But before I start, I think I should address the roaring elephant in the room, which is my window air conditioner. So you may hear that in the background. We're in the middle of a beastly heat wave here in the Northeast, so we've got them all roaring. Okay, so denial. You know, we all get into it. We all deny all kinds of things, and I think particularly things related to health, our kids' health, you know, the health issues of people we love. And I think we do it because we're scared. So of all the people in the world who might engage in some denial, you know, why not parents of kids and adolescents and young adults with mental health disorders? Because what could be really more unsettling, unexpected, and difficult to understand than that? Well, we do it. I do it. I've done it a million times. I probably will continue to do it in spite of my best efforts not to. But we shouldn't. And we shouldn't for the same reason that, you know, take, for example, and I know people who've done this. I don't endorse it. I don't recommend it. But say you found a lump in your breast or your testicle, because I'm just going to try and be gender inclusive here. And you said, oh, you know, that's a drag. I know it's not anything. I'm just not, I don't have time to get that checked out. And, you know, I'm not at any risk for cancer. I can't deal with that right now. And then maybe a little bit later you sort of fess up to yourself, you know, I'm kind of scared. I'm really too scared to get it checked out. I'm going to just ignore it. I know people who've done it. It's obvious, I think, to everyone why we shouldn't. Because if it turns out to be a malignancy and you wait too long, you may have actually cost yourself your own life. In some ways, mental health disorders are no different. You know, I mean, if you have a child who's diagnosed with leukemia, of course you're going to do whatever the doctor tells you to do. You're going to seek out medical treatment because you know you can't take that on alone. And if you're lucky, your child's lucky, they'll survive, and maybe they won't. But that goes without saying. Nobody's going to deny leukemia, or any kind of childhood cancer. I think especially when it's their kid. We're less so with ourselves. We might say, I'm too busy taking care of my kids. I can't get that mammogram. So why then, with evidence that seems to be pointing in the direction of a mental health disorder, why do we find ourselves so prone to denial, to erecting that wall between us and the thing that scares us? And I think there are lots of reasons for it. One of those is stigma, for sure. Of course, it's always an unexpected development, and it's so damn hard to understand an illness of the psyche, as opposed to, you know, let's say a structural illness in the brain. If your child has a tumor in his or her brain, which is horrific and terrible, and of course you're going to want to just go under the blankets and not ever come out again. But the reality is that those can be measured, they can be diagnosed with a fair amount of specificity, and then there's a decent way that you know, prognostication doctor can sort of tell you what the odds are and how it's going to turn out, and then they know how to treat it in a fairly specific way. Or if they don't, they know that they don't. Mental illnesses aren't like that. I have heard people who had evidence that their child either had a mental health disorder or, let's say, a developmental disorder, say, yeah, I'm not gonna have her evaluated because, you know, those labels, once a kid is labeled, that follows them for life. So we're just going to deal with this ourselves and keep it to ourselves. So I hope it's obvious why that is not a great way to approach an issue like that. If you keep it to yourself and you don't seek professional help and it doesn't get better, it probably means it's going to get worse, because it's not being addressed. And it's important too to understand that mental health disorders, like some medical disorders, can be terminal. People do die from severe mental illnesses, and I apologize about the barking. That's the fluff therapist. I'm going to be talking about him at some point too. He doesn't sound very therapeutic right now, but I think the mailman's here. Anyway, mental health disorders can indeed be mortal, and especially if we don't seek the help our kids need. So it's important to push back against that denial that feels kind of warm and enveloping and gives you a temporary sense of safety, because you're not addressing the scary thing that's on the other side. I want to tell a story about myself and my own denial, mine and my husband's, and it's that our child at a really young age was already, displaying signs that there was something quite amiss emotionally, and there was some suicidal ideation at the age of 4. Before then, there were other indications that things were amiss, but we just weren't prepared to face that. We didn't believe in it. What happened was, though, our hand was forced. We had to come out from behind our wall of denial, and it's because we got a phone call from the school, from the principal of our child's preschool, who said, "You have to come pick him up now, and he can't come back until we know he's safe." What could that mean? I think I was at work. I was teaching at the time, and my husband was at work, and I said, what do you, I can't come now. What are you talking about? What do you mean? No, you have to come now. He has to leave. Some things have been said, and I'll tell you the rest when you come in. Well, okay. And it turns out what he had said to a high school girl who was volunteering and reading to some of the kids in his integrated preschool in the public school system. And he said to this poor girl, and I feel, of course, empathy for him as well. I know I say this poor girl, and it sounds like I don't feel sad for my child, and of course I do. He said, "I would like to throw myself under a truck or jump out the second story of the school, jump out the window." And he was on the second floor. So I'm sure he scared the pants off of that poor teenager. She ran to the principal. The principal called us, and we still thought, well, he can't mean that. He's 4 years old. He must have heard that somewhere. But we knew we had to do it because he had to go back. And we did find a therapist who would take our insurance. It wasn't so easy. Who could fit him in. It wasn't so easy. That's a topic for another day. And that marked the beginning of an awakening. We became woke at some point to what was going on, but man, that was not easy. It's always easier to hide, I think, than face that truth. But I believe the fact that we did face it, we were forced to, and then we were forced to again and again along the way as things developed, is why our child is with us today. We never thought we'd have the same number of children we started out with by the time everyone reached adolescence even. Well, we do. And our kids are doing great in really meaningful ways. And I think it's because we pushed back that denial and stepped into a really difficult, dangerous zone with our eyes as wide open as we could so that we could take care of what needed to be taken care of. That's not self-congratulations by any means. I've made so many mistakes, I can't even begin to, I don't have enough digits on both hands and both feet by far to tell you how many mistakes I've made as a parent to the particular children I have. But I can say that your assumption, if indeed anyone out there is assuming this, that the stigma is too great, that the task is too monumental, that the label is going to devastate your child and ruin her chances to live the life that you had hoped and wanted her to live, those are not insurmountable, and in fact they're bad policy, and they won't help your kid or you or your family. And it's all about taking care of the people you love. That does include you, by the way, parent, and I will be talking more about that later too, because I am a walking, encyclopedia of things that can go wrong with your physical and mental health if you don't take care of yourself while taking care of everyone else. Okay, so that's it for today. Again, no denial. And I'll see you soon. Thanks for stopping by.